Hey, good morning, Drew. How you doing?
Good morning to you, man. Wonderful.
Oh, it's great to see you. And nice Sunday morning. I can see that your background is like really busy with all sorts of people walking around. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sunday morning, Pacific Northwest. It's raining outside. Football.
Yep.
No one's going anywhere.
Yep. Well, hey, we got misty skies today. We had a little dusting of some
Oh,
moist rain, reminded me of Washington. But it's been a little bit. We've had a couple distractions, but now we're finally getting together to talk the book Flourish. So, yeah, thanks for meeting today.
yes. Here's the book for
Yep.
everybody by
Yeah,
Martin Seligman.
I think it's pretty interesting because, and as I read through it, some of the stuff really resonated with me. And I know it was a tough read for you because it was a little scientific, or at least that's what you shared with me before. Similar to Angela Duckworth's Grit book. That resonated with me just conceptually. So I think it's pretty interesting when you have these scientists trying to, through probability and statistics, try to prove scientifically prove their concepts. Besides just accepting them as maybe wisdom that in philosophy that we know is to be true. We've been following for the last 2 to 3 thousand years. So to me that is interesting. So what did you think about the book?
Well, I mean, clearly you already said that I had a hard time with the book, so now everybody knows that. Yeah, it was a good book. Angela Duckworth's Grit book was great, but the how they kind of go about making their points gets dry for me.
Yeah.
Uh, they're just talking a lot about different studies, and then we did this study. But I found a lot in this book that I like, and I just had to dig a little bit deeper and harder to get to it.
Yep.
Um, what we're talking about is how to have a flourishing life. You know, um, that Greek word eudaimonia, that resonates with me so well that I read about in Eric Greitens' book. It talks about a flourishing life. That was the word that the Greeks had used, Aristotle, I believe, for a flourishing life.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in this day and age because even in the political realm, we're arguing right now about what it is to flourish to have meaning. And he made one great point. He says GDP cannot tell you if anyone is flourishing. And so flourishing really has to do with a sense of meaning,
Yeah.
purpose, something outside of yourself. So, I mean, I like those aspects of the book, and I'll talk about some of the other notes that I got. I really found a connection between uh, some things that he said and what Eric Greitens said in the book Resilience,
Yeah.
as well as um, Brian Tracy in the book Maximum Achievement. So I I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with
Dry.
you. I I agree. I liked it as well. I think that verb flourish is something that I'd like to, you know, maybe use in sort of our mental models going in the future. And I know we're going to have future discussions and debates about that, but the because I think it represents a lot. Not only your state of mind, but it also represents what you're accomplishing, etc. And his acronym that he uses to describe the state of flourishing is PERMA. So first it's P, positive emotion. E means engagement. Now that means engagement with the world, like, right, you're focused, you're in the flow. Um, you're losing track of time because you're really concentrating on something. You get that's a unique space to be in as a human. um, the third letter is R, relationships. That matches one of our letters that we have in our SHEARS acronym. And SHEARS stands for skills, habits, energy, attitude, relationships, and service. But and so in PERMA, right, positive emotion, which I think is pretty cool. Positive emotion is all about having a peace of mind and having a positive outlook, engagement, about being in flow, really concentrating and being invested in something. Our relationships, exactly what you were talking about, doing something that's meaningful. For us, we represent that through the, service. And then the last one is accomplishment. And I think that's good too, because you do want to have, at the end of the day, you say, hey, what did I do today? If you did nothing that day, you almost feel like you haven't accomplished anything. It's like, what did I spend this day on, right? But if you knock out some things, and they don't have to be monumental, everybody's in their own unique situation. Everybody's dealt their own set of cards. It's just how well you play your cards. And if you can do it in a flourishing mindset, following that acronym, I think that can get you somewhere in life.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I remember that acronym, PERMA. Something on page 186 in the book, he talks about the biology of optimism. It's something that kind of ring true for me, something that I felt like I could see throughout the 20 plus years that I've been in prison. It said, learn helplessness weakens the immune system and exposes us to disease and death. And he went on to talk about learned optimism. Okay. It was found that people who believe that the causes of setbacks in their lives are temporary, changeable, or local do not become helpless. And not only do not become helpless, but they don't become exposed. They don't have biological exposing to disease and death. Made me think of that Bible verse on our necklace, Proverbs 13:12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. If you really think about it, if you peel that apart, is that when your hope is shattered, delayed, set back,
Yeah.
shut down, it has a literal physical impact on the body.
Yep.
But it says when that which is departed returns again, it's a tree of life. And that tree of life is just a metaphor saying flourishing.
Yep.
So there is going to be a constant about things are going to be against us in life. And if you want to flourish, if you want to have meaning, you better learn how to deal with setbacks in life. And the thing about having an optimistic mindset, realizing that hey, this is temporary. I could change this. I could change something within me, and that'll affect my circumstances here. Those people go on to flourish. But
Yep.
if you look at a situation like you're absolutely helpless, not only will you never flourish in life, but you're going to physically expose yourself to sickness and possibly disease. I've seen it in here. There's a difference between somebody. There's people that are doing life, and there's people that are living life, but they just happen to be in here.
Yep.
There's a difference in mentality. There's a difference between not everybody that does 25 years is the same. That 25 years can wear one person down a lot more than the other person. And it really comes down to their mindset. What things they pursued. Did they feel like they were in control of their life? Did they feel like they could go after something? That they could set some goals? And you could see a health aspect behind that too.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen plenty of guys die off in here. And I'll tell you what, they died first in their spirit, and their body followed suit.
Yeah.
Am I cutting out a little bit?
Just a little, barely. I no, didn't lose an entire word, so it's still decipherable. Hey, so I really like a lot of what you just talked about. It made me think about sort of the nickname I gave myself when I was working in uh, the
Oh, the
embassy in
deranged
Manila.
optimist.
Yeah, the deranged optimist. I used to talk to the Just Mag chief, the colonel that was in charge of all military activities in the country, and we would often encounter setbacks and policy issues. And we're working with the Philippine military, and sometimes we'd agree on doing such and such, and then they do something else, and you could quickly turn negative, and so he and I would debate, who's the realist, who's the naive optimist. And I said, well, I'm not naive because I don't want to see short-sighted like that. I'm just deranged because I still think we can make something out of it. I could still be positive despite the numerous obstacles that we're facing. And it makes me think about um, the book we read about the artist's journey. Um, that was by Stephen. I'm spacing his name.
Covey?
Stephen what?
Stephen Covey?
No. Well, the artist journey. I'll think of it in here in a second. I'll look it up. But he always talked about there's the resistance. In the world, the resistance is always fighting against you, and you always gotta just recognize it and continue to push against it. Especially when you're trying to create and prosper. So I think that's just an aspect of our life, right? Where we have to deal with setbacks and suffering. Everybody has their own cross they have to bear, and the key is maintaining a good attitude about it, having positive emotion. If you go back to maximum achievement, having a peace of mind, and I think that can help take you forward. So I think those are really good aspects that you surfaced there that really resonate with me.
Yeah, you kind of chopped up a little bit. You powered through it.
Okay.
So, um, I have a couple of notes I want to share with you. Okay, holding the usual risk factors constant. I mean, just that phrase annoys me. But he said self-control is a major health asset. And I thought, man, so simple yet so profound. It made me think of something else, so I threaded it back in my notes to another book that we read by Brian Tracy. And he said, the things that we think about and the way you think about them determine your levels of health, wealth, and happiness in every area of your life. So a lot of times when you think about like control, and here's the thing, we want to control what's around us. But really what determines your level of happiness is controlling what's inside of you or
Yeah.
what's going on up here.
Yep.
And I know, man, anytime you're head tripping on something, you can have the best job, you can make great money. But if you lack peace up here, if
Yep.
you can't discipline your thinking, you don't really succeed at anything. And you'll carry that confusion into every area of your life.
Yep.
And you never really stop to think about my thinking habits are a health asset or a health liability.
Yeah. That
I didn't
that
really think about how to think.
yeah. That's really good. Another concept that has been that resonates right perfectly with that is adaptability. I work in a manufacturing plant, and we're always dealing with obstacles. There's always issues that's going to take us off schedule and get us behind and all that stuff. And it can be everything from contamination in the factory to not enough money to a contractor not delivering on time or a vendor. I mean, it's crazy how many different permutations of issues you can have. But do you get hung
Yeah.
up on it, or do you adapt to the new environment? And every day there's another curveball. And if you can, not get, you know, caught in the swamp of challenge, but then still have a good mindset. I think you nailed it on the head. I think
How
that's
did
really good.
you how did you teach soldiers the discipline of thinking when you guys are deployed? You know, when you're talking about Rangers and Special Forces guys,
Yeah.
what is that element? Because everybody has a life. A lot of these guys have families and kids,
Yep.
but when you're on serious missions abroad, all over the world, you know, you can't have a guy head tripping on his girlfriend or something in the middle of a mission.
Yep.
How do you teach? How does the military teach that level of disciplined thinking?
Well, yeah, so when you're downrange and you're a leader, it's really important to explain the why, and the bigger purpose and the bigger benefit that your service is providing. And you got to remind people of that. And it needs to be it has to be believable. So I think that's a key thing that has to be taught, right? In the Philippines, I did a lot of operations there, like 3.5 years in the Philippines. It wasn't about us, executing the missions, against the Al Qaeda affiliates. It was about enabling the Philippine military and security forces to do it. And so, really, we had to measure our success on the progress they made, and that requires some deliberate optimism. But the way the military goes about doing that, especially in special forces, is they have a rigorous selection and training process, because what they do is they push you into this nebulous environment that is mentally and physically demanding, and they make you do really hard, and they make you work together as a team in almost these impossible tasks, so you can easily
Right.
get frustrated and not see that you're going to succeed. It's like the ultimate of obstacles, mental and
Okay.
physical and everything. You're lacking sleep, you don't have food, all sorts of stuff. And if you can still maintain a positive attitude and be a good teammate and persevere and still accomplish these things that might seem impossible, then they know that you have the integral why in your DNA that is part of your character and drive. And because then, if you that's the selection process. Okay, does he have what it takes? Does he have the drive necessary to succeed in this line of work? And then if he does, then we provide him all this other, still adverse training that just enhances that. And we teach him the why and reinforce it. So when you come out of all that training, now you go into a select population of people that already have that embedded in them. And that really makes a difference in the special operations community, to be able to do these nebulous, adverse, hard type missions through other people, through by and with. And so that's a key
I
aspect
like
of.
that.
Yeah.
It's not just about physical ability. Yes, there's a physical ability aspect,
Yep.
but that is determined by your inward ability, your ability to think, reason, and also decide what you're going to think about.
Yeah.
You
And
know, what you're going to
persevere.
allow to occupy the space of your mind.
Yeah. Are you going to focus on the right tasks? Or are you going to suffer there, wallow and suffer in misery because you're just worried about all the negative things that are going on? Or are you going to push through it? So, that's the key thing. So there's a selection in there, because you need to already have some of those key elements. But once you
Right.
pass the muster, then they just work to enhance that, which I think is
Yeah.
pretty good. So
Yeah. So I like that. You know, that's why they call it Special Forces Selection.
yep.
You know,
So what
all these
that
kind of things work
they
together.
they actually call it Special Forces Assessment and Selection, SFAS.
Assessment.
Assessment and selection. Yeah. So they're assessing you, right? And then they select. So um, I think that's a key
I feel
aspect to
like
it.
life is assessing us.
Oh, it is.
You know, I mean, um, the future I hope to step into, the opportunities that I hope await me
Yeah.
are really determined by today. And I think really highly successful people recognize that even in Monday days, Uh, how I'm thinking, how I'm setting goals, is determining what doors I can walk through a year from now, 5 years from now.
Yep.
And that's why these aspects, you don't just get it together when you need to have it together. You have it together years ahead of time. A Green Beret, Ranger, Navy SEALs, they don't just become amazing warriors and fighters once they're on the front lines.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. They were that years ago. They conditioned their body, their mind, and even their soul.
Yep.
You know, um, and if you think about our life, my life, I want to be able to succeed at a high level. Did you hear me?
Yeah. No, I think I really like
I want
that.
to be able to succeed at a high level,
Yep.
and that is going to be determined by my habits. Now, I'm saying I want to flourish. Okay, well, great. But what are the 7 habits of flourishing? He said, health is more than the absence of illness. I think we would agree with that. To say I'm healthy isn't not sick. Did you catch that? I feel like I'm breaking up.
No, no, it's still coming through, so it's good to go.
Good. Health is more than the absence of illness. He says it is first subjective. First, hope, optimism, zest. Can we grade these things in our life? If I say, hey, I'm healthy. Okay, great. You say you're healthy. How so? You know, where's your hope? Where does optimism and zest land in your life? Second, he says it's biological. It's heart rate, blood pressure, etc.
Yep.
In third, it's a functional asset. Do you have an excellent marriage? Are you physically able? Are you rich in friendships? And do you have a flourishing work life? Man, how many people say they're healthy and all they mean is I'm not sick, but they
Yep.
don't think that they're sick?
Yep.
But really, when you really look at what health is, you look at these subjective, biological, and functional areas. And each one takes a discipline, intentionality. Like for me as a prisoner, I had to get really good at the hope optimism part. You know,
Yep.
the excellent marriage, those are things that I have to step into. Those are doors I walk through later.
Yep.
I went running last night, did a little HIIT routine because we're going to work on our heart rate and blood pressure. But even if I'm not aware, subconsciously I know being healthy is more than just not being sick. Having a great life is more than not being in an argument at that moment in time.
Yeah.
And I think getting people to recognize that there's a more well-rounded aspect. If you're not aware of the other aspects, how can you pursue them?
Yeah. That's pretty good. I like that. And it's having that holistic view, right? It's not just sickness. It's not just physical fitness. It's mental, social, uh, you know, physical. It's all the aspects. And can you step aside and objectively really look at yourself and see and assess where you're at and where you need to improve. I think those are key skills. You know, one of the tools that I really liked out of this book that was pretty funny because I had actually started doing it a year and a half ago because I saw Honeywell doing it in their regular, daily and weekly meetings. They would ask at the beginning of a meeting when we have the get together, all right, hey, what went well? And what it was is it was enabling everybody on the team to then highlight, even if it was the smallest of items, positive progress towards accomplishment. And and I think that's fantastic because it resonate or it came right out of this positive psychology movement by Martin Seligman, and he highlighted that that's an important tool. The other thing that he added on to that I don't do at work, because I now adopted that and I do it with my team. We do it twice a week. Is as soon as somebody highlights something that went well, I need to start either confirming and then validating and then explain why, or ask them to explain why it was good,
Yeah.
right? Because if you can
Yeah.
then not only acknowledge it, positively reinforce it in your head, but then go back to why it was a good thing,
Yeah.
and then especially if you start illuminating the positive habits
Yeah.
that are the foundation for that what went well, then I think that then that just continues to reinforce those progress and those positive emotions, and a
Man, this
delink.
technology is not our friend this morning.
Oh yeah, is it a little broken up? You're broken up on your side,
Look, we're under
so
20 seconds.
oh
We're under
wow.
20 seconds, but
Yeah, so
yeah,
anyways, I
so
think
10
that's an
seconds,
awesome
man. I
tool.
want to tell everybody, check this book out, Flourish by Martin Seligman.
Yep.
And we'd like to hear your thoughts about it too, man.
It's always
Thank
good
you
to
for the
see you,
conversation. I
Drew.
love you, buddy.
I love you too. Take care, my friend.